Look, for your audience, for regardless of whether folks come to me or not, we tend to work with, folks that are looking to scale, folks that, I don't tend to work, my company doesn't tend to work with folks that are brand new, that are just learning about, direct response marketing or the value of funnels or things like that. I have a special place in my heart for folks like that, because I remember 20 years ago when it was me. Ironically, before I became an entrepreneur, I spent about 12, 13 years or so in the fitness industry. And so, right, like the fitness professionals have a special place in my heart. You got to start off with a reasonable goal, right? You got to start off. It's kind of like, look, before you have a business that does 10 million, let's make you your first million. Before you make your first million, let's make your first $100,000. And so you have milestones along the way. Don't set a goal that is, far crazy out of your range. Let's set a reasonable milestone, get you there, and then we can always readjust that milestone for the next level.
Right, awesome. So in terms of you and setting your milestones, like some people, like even 100,000, maybe it's like hard to put as a goal. For you as a personal goal, do you have like a personal goal that within like 5 years and 10 years, is that how you make your goals, within a 5-year range and a 10-year range? Is that what you do?
No, I don't. I know a lot of people do, but for me, I really believe, man, life is tumultuous. Life is crazy. It moves at a crazy crazy pace. I have no idea, man, what things are going to be like in 10 years. Like we could all be living on Mars or something crazy. And so I don't think that far out in terms of my goal setting. I tend to think about 3 years. I'll look at just about 3 years, and that's kind of the max for me. And then based on where I'd like to be in 3 years, I'll plan my next year. So I have kind of a vision for 3 years, and then when it comes to goal setting and planning, it's all about 1 year. And then I take those 1 year and I break it down quarterly, and then of course monthly, weekly, and everything then translates over into daily, what it is that I'm focusing on.
Okay, awesome. So with the situation that we're in right now, there's not a lot of people traveling. There's not a lot of people like leaving the house. How's that affected your business? Would you say it's slowed down or it's picked up?
I would say that it hasn't really impacted. I mean, look, we're fortunate. I'm fortunate in that, today my entire team is virtual, so everybody is spread out all over the United States for us, and overseas as well. But everybody works from home, and our activities are almost exclusively online. And so this hasn't affected us. I mean, I have a lot of friends that have physical brick and mortar businesses where it certainly has affected them. But for us in our business, thank goodness, it hasn't really affected us at all.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is that what you had planned? Like you wanted to have a business completely online?
I would say what was a lot more important for me, and I think that this is valuable for your audience, it was more important to me that I had a successful business. Like I was really inspired to be a successful entrepreneur. And so I fell in love with the idea of being a successful entrepreneur and what that would mean for my life and for my lifestyle, for my family. I mean, I have 2 kids today, 2 teenage daughters. And I fell in love with the idea of being a successful entrepreneur. I was far less married to a particular product or a particular niche. I mean, I've had many companies. I've been in many different spaces over the last 20 years. And so for me, it was about being a successful entrepreneur. I kind of got started at the very, very, very early stages of when the online, the world of online commerce was taking off. So I never really could fully understand what was in store. Like I don't even know if I was fully aware that you could have a 100% online business. So it didn't start off that way, but it certainly evolved into where we are, we do most of what we do is done online. Not all of it, but I would say certainly 80% of it is done online.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Like how you became an entrepreneur. Was someone influenced you? How did you get the idea of like this is a good option for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I was always entrepreneurial. I grew up in a house where my father was an entrepreneur, and so he had his own business, and so I always just naturally had this desire to be an entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I was selling candy in school. I'd go to the store, I'd buy candy, in these bags for $2, and then I'd sell them piece by piece for 25 cents. Until the school wouldn't allow me to do that anymore. And then when I got older, I was detailing cars, washing cars. And so I always had this entrepreneurial desire, but
Were you
it
getting
wasn't in,
were you
go ahead.
getting this were you getting these ideas like candy selling candy like you got it from something like a friend who was doing it or like car washing and detailing was like someone else doing it and you picked it up?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. I really don't remember back then where the idea came from. I know that I was always looking, I was always, even though like I'm an introvert and I've always been kind of an introvert. I always wanted to make money. I always wanted to figure out like a legitimate way to make money. And so from, like I saw that, kids wanted candy and I have no idea how I ended up doing that. But it wasn't until, I believe it or not, then I went to college. I ended up finally, I had to go to community school. And then before, because I never got, I was a terrible student. Let me back up. Terrible student going through all the way through high school, almost did not graduate, could not get into a single college, ended up having to go to community school, went to community school for 2 years, then finally got into a state college in New Jersey. Took me another 4 years to complete, a 4-year degree. So it's a total of 6 years of college to get a 4-year degree. I got a 4-year degree in clinical nutrition, The only place that I was able to get a job was for a local health club in New Jersey. I ended up staying at that health club for almost 13 years. And it was while I was at that health club that I got a direct mail piece, a postcard in the mail that was offering a marketing system for fitness professionals. And it was a direct response advertisement. So it was long form copy. It had an offer. It had a strong pitch. And it was my first exposure to direct response marketing. I asked my boss if I could expense it, if I could buy it. It was like $300 back then. And I ended up getting this kit in the mail and I was blown away. Like my first exposure to direct response, to copywriting, to Dan Kennedy, to Gary Halbert, totally blown away, enamored. Picked up the phone, called the creator of that program and said, "Who did you learn from?" And he said, "I learned from this guy, Dan Kennedy." And then I started buying Dan Kennedy trainings. At the time, I was buying them on eBay. They were cassette tapes, like crazy, crazy, crazy. And I just started consuming everything that I could. While I was in the health club, I started putting to use what it is that I was learning and tweaking it for the health club setting, because what I was learning was stuff that was really appropriate for the individual personal trainer, that sort of thing.
Okay,
I
what,
started tweet. Go ahead.
why did you want to learn all this stuff? Like, did you think that you were gonna use this to make money, or you wanted to just like experiment and try out what it was?
A little bit of both. I mean, I was intrigued by this. I wanted to see, like, I was learning, and so I wanted to put it to use. I wanted to like see if it did really work as well as this dude was saying. I wanted to, I wanted to learn more about it, and I wanted to make money in my job. So I was in a position where the more money my department brought in, the more money I was able to make. And so I wanted to make money. And so I started putting it into use. And I would say I was tweaking stuff, implementing, tweaking stuff. And over time, over the next, I don't know, year, call it, my department skyrocketed. And my department became the poster child in this company for like how to run a department. We were doing millions of dollars across multiple locations in personal training, all because of the marketing that I was putting into play internally in our clubs. And it was at that point, after I took this stuff and I tweaked it and I implemented it and saw what worked and what didn't work and learned more and implemented, that I decided, man, I really want to see if I could take this stuff and teach it to other people And so I decided I didn't want to do anything in the fitness arena because I didn't want there to be a conflict of interest with my current employer. There was already a program for fitness professionals, the one that I had learned from. And so I decided to create my first information product teaching massage therapists how to market and grow their practice and attract clients. And that's how it all began. And it went from that to then after I built, was blessed to build a nice business there. And I built that business selling to massage therapists while I was still working full-time at the health club. So I was getting up early, I was staying up late, I was working on the weekends, working on this business. I knew nothing about, I didn't know anything about technology. I was learning about email. I didn't know how to put up website, none of that stuff. Just lots of people. But I knew that if others could do it and others learned how to do it, I could learn how to do it. And so I then went from that. I then decided to go and start working with chiropractors and teaching them over the years how to market and sell. At that time, I decided I was going to leave my job. I was going to do my business full time at that point. My wife really wanted to move us to Florida, so we moved to Florida full time in that. And then I went from that into other niches, other businesses, and then finally I decided I'm going to start working with mainstream, with entrepreneurs, with a focus on coaches, consultants, experts, authors, speakers, agency owners, etc. And that brings us to today, man.
Okay, awesome. So, you mentioned that, you were working full time and then you had, your family, plus you were working and giving up your weekends, you're giving up, staying at late at night. So it seems like, you had a vision and you wanted to get to a destination. Is there something that you wanted to buy that you were working so hard for and trying to pay off, or what were you trying to acquire all this money for?
I was just trying to get free, man, from the man, so to speak. Really, that was it. My whole dream, the whole reason why I became an entrepreneur, my desire was really for autonomy, right? I wanted to, really my goal, my aim, my sole driver was that I never wanted to be told what to do. I didn't want somebody to tell me when to get up, when to go to work, what to wear. I wanted to get up when I wanted, work when I wanted, work where I wanted, work with who I wanted. I wanted to call the shots. That was my driver. That was the big thing that I really wanted. The money was a secondary thing, because my job, finally in the end, I was making good money. There was nothing wrong with it. I just wanted the freedom. And I knew that the only way to have that freedom and have that control was as an entrepreneur. And so that's really what drove me, man. That was really what was driving me. And it's really interesting, for what it's worth. I've told this story a couple times, but it was funny because for all the years, right? And so you're talking about 13 years that I worked for this company. Well, so in my role, I was required to wear Dockers, like beige, tan Dockers, with a button-down shirt that had the company logo on it. So that's what I was required to wear. And so every day I put on these Dockers with this button-down shirt with the company logo. And I love the company. I still talk to the owner. I'm still big fans of, I learned a tremendous amount working for them, great entrepreneurs, all that. But I'll never forget my last day on the job. My last day, I complete my last day, and now I'm driving home. And every day when I would drive home, this is when I was still in Jersey, driving to the club, the main club, and driving home from the main club, I would pass by a tremendous lake. And so I decided this time on my way home, I'm done now. I no longer work for this company that I've worked for 13 years. That, when I was, from the time I was, whatever it is, 21 to, 33 or whatever it is, I worked for this company, right? I decided to pull over. I pulled over. I pulled my vehicle up to, whatever, 15, 20 feet away from the water. I got out. I remember I left the door open for whatever reason, and I walked over to the water. And I unbuttoned the shirt. I had an undershirt on, an undershirt underneath. I unbuttoned the shirt, took it off. I crumpled it up, and I threw it in the water, and I watched as it sank in the water. And for me, it was this weird, liberating experience, because I said to myself, I'm never going to have to wear a button-down shirt again. If I don't want, I'm going to wear what I want, when I want, where I want. And then I got in the car and I drove home. And I tell that story because like that was the symbol to me of freedom. I'm done. The uniform is done, right? And that's what it was about for me, man.
So that's an incredible story. So it really shows that you had like it was so important for you, and it was very painful for you to stay in that state. Can you talk about like your experiences before maybe you had that influenced you to want to have freedom?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is crazy. I know, I know that there are a lot of people that have these brutal backstories. I really don't. I had a great job, man. It was a great, in terms of jobs. It was great. Like it was a great company. It was, I got paid. It was great. There was nothing absolutely negative that I would say about it, other than the fact that it wasn't mine, right? So I wasn't the owner. And I was limited by what it is that I can do because everything had to go through the owner. The owners were great people, smart, but I just didn't have full control and I had to answer to somebody. Other than that, everything was great. So there was no big struggle. It was just this, the desire for autonomy, real freedom was stronger to me than the comfort that I was experiencing with the job. Like I said, it was great. I was doing really well. Like financially, everything was fine. It was going in the right direction. It was all good. But it was just that pull for freedom was stronger to me than the comfort that I felt from that situation. And that was enough to make me sacrifice my time to get up in the morning, to work late, to work on weekends. Very similar to like, look, man, everybody in your audience as fitness professionals themselves, right? They're into fitness. They like working out. They have a goal when it comes to fitness, whether it be, bodybuilding, looking good, or performance. And they're also, they understand naturally the idea of sacrifice, because when they're working out, right, they're paying their dues at that moment for a result that's going to come over time. It's not going to come immediately when they're done with their workout, right? It's going to come over time as they remain consistent. And so they're willing to take the 90 minutes each day or whatever it is, 5 days a week or 6 days a week for for the outcome that they want. That's what I was willing to do for that pull of autonomy, man.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. How you were making these little sacrifices for yourself. I want to like ask you, your your thought process. You said that you were limited in terms of like the limitation in terms of like your day-to-day, what you can decide to do. You had to ask someone, so that was very painful for you. How did you create the vision, and how did you create like the comfort that you're in? Because a lot of people are very comfortable with the situation they're in. How did you create like that comfort into discomfort, and like something that you don't have into something that could be more comfortable?
Yeah. I think, look, man, I think this, I know you're asking me these questions and hoping that I have some, this goes to show you that what people say about me being a genius is likely not true at all. Look, man, I think you either want it or you don't, right? Like, let's be real, man. Like, look, when people say, like, people ask me, like, how do you get motivated to do your work? Like, you either want the result, you either want the impact, or you don't. It's like when people ask, likely, I would say to your folks, to your audience, to fitness professionals, like, how do you get motivated to work out? Likely for your folks, they don't have to get motivated. They are motivated, man, right? Because they want the change. They're motivated enough by the result where they don't have to like figure out what's important to me about this and why. They're motivated, man. They want a result. And the reality is that like the result that you're shooting for has to be big enough, has to be exciting enough. You have to want it enough so that pulls you. And that pull is stronger than the pull of procrastination, is stronger than the pull of comfort. But at the end of the day, you either want it or not. At the end of the day, you're either comfortable, like being comfortable is more valuable to you, more important to you than maybe getting wealthy or some other destination. But one is gonna win. And so for me, it's, I didn't have to, like, there was no, you know, there was no, the discomfort for me wasn't something I had to create. That discomfort came from me not being able to wake up when I wanted, work when I wanted, take vacation when I wanted. So the fact that like this was my world, and there were certain things that I could do and certain things that I couldn't do. And the things that I couldn't do that I wanted to do, that was enough of a pull to me to say, I want to do something. Like I want to make it. I want to make something happen. And I'll tell you this also. You know, I went into that first business when I created that first massage product, and I really didn't know what I didn't have a preset vision. Like I'm going to build this to X amount, and then I'm going to leave this job. Like it wasn't like that at all. At first, I was like, let me see if I can create an information product. Let me see if I could use everything that I've learned and honed and done here in the health clubs to sell this thing. Maybe, hey, maybe I could generate an extra $1,000 a month. And that would be cool because that's extra spending money, right? That was my thought. And then it started to evolve. And then I started to think, wow, I started to realize, man, this could become a bigger business, a bigger source of it. Wow, I could end up leaving my job. And this could be my path to that autonomy and freedom. And that's how it worked out.